Hey, my friends. So, I recently got a request to do a video concerning free stuff. If you were to go out into your community and scavenge, and I'm not talking about going through the garbage or going through the street or alleyways or trying to bum things off of people. I'm just talking about just going around your town or city and just picking up stuff that is what you would consider, for the most part, free or available. Now, there are some conditions here. There are some things that are left out for patrons, for customers. So it wouldn't be appropriate just to go into a store and just grab a few things if you're not a customer. Sometimes there's free things for customers, or there's things for customers and not just things for the general public. So there's kind of a fine line here. So you don't want to steal things, when you're walking around trying to, gather goods that are so-called free. But there are a lot of opportunities to get things when you're out and about doing other things. So there's one example, though, I'll give of something not to do. Some people do this, but it is wrong. It is stealing. And that is a lot of these, motels, hotels, they'll have a continental breakfast or a free breakfast. And they don't really, for the most part, screen that. People kind of come and go. And so it is fairly easy, if you wanted to pull up, early in the morning when they're putting out the breakfast, and just pretend that you're a guest, or, you were staying there for the night, and get a free, drink and maybe a donut or whatever they have. They typically don't have a lot, but that's something obviously that's off limits here. And so some of the things that are free, and I'll just kind of give you some examples from my own area. And I've lived in a few cities, so this is kind of across the board, somewhat things that I've seen in each city. But this is going to be a lot more heavier, towards my city currently. And that is, first and foremost, the businesses in my area, they do a lot of advertising. For an area that I live in that's relatively rural, I mean rural in the sense that there's just really not that many people or businesses here. They do a lot of advertising, and maybe they have to do it more than if they were in a city, just for the fact that, they have to get customers or they can't stay in business. So first and foremost, the business branded promos. And what I mean by this is that a lot of the businesses in my area, they just give away stuff just to try to get you in the building, or they try to entice you by sending you things in the mail or dropping things off in your yard. And I'll explain in just a moment what that means. But yeah, I just see a lot of businesses doing this, and it's a lot more involved than just sending you a flyer in the mail. So in my area, businesses hire people to drive up and down the streets and basically just toss these little pouches of promotional material onto your yard. Sometimes it hits, on your driveway. A lot of times these little packages or pouches, however you want to say it, is just made up of a heavy duty, like Ziploc style bag. And a lot of them look like they're like a 1 gallon size bag. And what they have in there is a variety of different brands or businesses in the area with, phone numbers and addresses. But typically they're made up of several cups. They're just like some, like reusable cups. And they're not great or nothing, but they're plastic cups. Typically there's a number of pens in there, different types of pens with different companies in the area that has their logos and branding on there. So you got cups and you have pens, you have Post-it notes, and that's also branded. I tell you what, over the years living here, I have so many pens, cups, and Post-it notes. In fact, it's just ridiculous. You can't even, use them quick enough. And you every like 3 to 4 months, you look out there in your yard and you'll see a new pouch that was just thrown in your yard. So I've personally have not done business with any of these companies that have given me all this free stuff. But they also sometimes will give out tote bags when you go in person to some stores. The grocery store and also the library gives out totes, and they're actually kind of nice. Not real nice, but they're like canvas totes. And so they're definitely reusable. You could probably use these for 2, 3, 4 years before they would wear out. They're that good. So, okay, so you have that. Now, talking about the library, though, they not only just give you a tote to carry your books out, and they encourage you to, reuse that and keep bringing it in, and so they don't have to, keep issuing new ones, which is understandable. But they also have like pens and markers, peppermint hard candy, and also, this is the kicker here at my library, they have 100% beeswax lip balm, the really good stuff, and they have them in different flavors, and it's all natural ingredients. Now, at first, I was like really impressed with that. I mean, and actually, it is worthy of being impressed. I was like, wow, that's really cool. They also have bookmarkers there at the library, which is not that big of a deal, but they have them. But yeah, at first I was like, wow, this is great, all this free stuff. And then I kind of this thought for a moment. I'm like, you know what? My property tax involves, having to pay the library. So I'm forced every year to pay a library tax. So none of this stuff is free. In fact, when I did the math, this stuff is actually quite expensive when I broke it down to each item. So that just pissed me off even more, that I'm forced to pay a library tax for this stuff. And, it's just like kind of bends me the wrong way. But anyways, moving forward, the local smoke shop. That's a place that if you're not a smoker, and I'm not a smoker at all, I don't do anything like that. I don't drink, smoke, do drugs. I don't, nothing. I don't dip. I don't smoke pipe. But I like to go in there first and foremost just to talk to the locals, because I'm not a local. Like I moved here. I'm not like one of the, the people that was born here and all this. So I like to talk to the locals, and I'll just sit there and chat with them for a half an hour to an hour about stuff and just talk about local stuff. And also I go in there, secondly, to get a new lighter or just to see what they have, because they have all kinds of new stuff come in there all the time. And sometimes they have some really neat lighters, and I might just pick one up, just a few bucks typically. But when I'm in there, though, they typically always give me a free lighter. It's just like a disposable lighter, it's not like it's a big deal. I mean, they work just fine, though. I mean, they work almost the same as like a Bic lighter. I have no problems with it, but it's a full-size disposable lighter. And so they give those away for free. So you might want to just check that out. Some of the local smoke shops might give away free lighters. And they're not just being nice to me, though. They give them out to a lot of people. Okay, so you have that. Restaurants. Now, this is a very common one to be quoted from, like, okay, restaurants and also inside of some convenience stores or gas stations, you can get napkins. You can get plastic forks and spoons. Sometimes they'll even have sporks. You can sometimes get like straws. You can kind of get the picture, even condiments. But see, this is where it kind of blurs the line. Unless you're really a customer, you shouldn't just walk into a restaurant and just fill your pockets up with all this stuff and then walk out. To me, that is stealing, and that's just not acceptable. But if you're in there and you bought a sandwich and a drink, there's nothing wrong with grabbing a couple extra napkins and maybe an extra packet or two of ketchup, right? Especially if you're going to go to your car and eat on the run or whatever. And if you just don't happen to use those condiments, you can just use them for the next time. But what I'm saying is that there's nothing wrong with grabbing a few extra things, in particular like the napkins, because you never know when you're going to need, a napkin. You could spill your drink in your car and you need it. So it's all reasonable to have a few extra. But definitely, don't be like some people that I knew when I was in college that would, just fill their pockets with those ketchup packets and the mayo and the ketchup, ketchup, mayo, mustard, barbecue, and any of the in-house sauces. I just knew too many people that did that. It was completely wrong, and I always told them, don't do that. I mean, the worst probably is those people who go to a sit-down restaurant and they feel entitled to put like the real silverware, like the metal silverware, in their pockets or purses. Like the metal forks and spoons and steak knives. Now that's completely wrong, and that's stealing. That there's nowhere on the menu that says, "Oh, the silverware is included in the meal." That it doesn't say that. So, anyways, so we talked about the gas stations to a small degree. Once again, in a lot of gas stations and convenience stores, they typically have like a drink machine and things like that. So they have like napkins and straws and cups. But once again, that's really for paying customers. So, but on the outside, if you're getting gas, don't forget that there's typically, in my area, they have these blue heavy duty paper towels. It's almost like kind of reminiscent of like shop towels, like those blue shop towels, but they're not as heavy, but they're almost as. At least the ones in my area, they use some pretty thick blue paper towels, and they're really great for wiping your windshield. Or if you spilt something in your car, they are very absorbent. And what I always do after I pump my gas, I always grab a couple, like 2 or 3 of those heavy duty, blue towels. It's just kind of like you just kind of, the ones that we have here, they're stacked in a bin and you just pull out one at a time. And it's no big deal. I mean, I even asked about it. And they said, no, that's there for us as customers. You can take, a handful or so each time, and they don't have a problem with that. That's what it's for, just to help you to, to clean your car off or whatever. So there you go. So that's really handy, towels. And in terms of kind of a bonus item here, I want to say that contacting your favorite manufacturers, in particular, the food vendors that you like to, purchase from. It could be from your grocery store or whatnot, but the actual brands, get in contact with those brands that you typically consume and give them some feedback. Even if it's not solicited, just go ahead and call them up. You can usually find the numbers on the back of the packaging, or you can look it up online and just get some information, right? And call them and say, hey, I just want to share my thoughts about your product. And typically they're really excited to hear from you, because most people, they don't call and tell you things. Most people don't call, and just, say, hey, I just want to give you some feedback. Normally the companies have to pay people to get feedback. So you can just simply say, hey, I've been buying this for a number of years. I like this flavor over this flavor. I love this texture. If I was to make one change, this is what it would be. I hope you continue to make this product or whatever. And what happened right before you hang up, they'll probably say something like, oh, hold on. If you don't mind, can we get your name and address? And this is the point where I say, what would that be for? What is the reasoning for that? Or, why would you need my name and address? And typically they'll just say something like, well, we would like to send you something. And sometimes they'll tell you, sometimes they won't. A lot of times they do. They say, well, we have, a coupon appreciation program for those who help us and give us feedback, and we want to send you some coupons. Now, sometimes the coupons are pretty good. Like they'll include like coupons for completely free items. Like you don't have to pay nothing. You just give the coupon to the cashier and you're done. So I've had that happen like maybe 30 to 40% of the time. When I get coupons, there's at least 1 or 2 freebies in there, which is awesome. But a lot of times you'll get the 50 cent or $1 off coupons, which they're still very good, especially for products that you use. But every once in a while, like, you'll get some really kind of lower grade coupons, like 25 cents off if you buy 3 of something. And so I can't really say that I get excited about those, but they are something. Right? I mean, if it saves you something, it saves you something. And typically you're not on the phone with these people more than just a few minutes anyway. So probably your time to coupon ratio in terms of savings, it's probably going to be well worth your time. So what I do is like every 4 to 6 months, I call all the companies all over again and just kind of go through the process. I don't do it so often that I become a nuisance, or they can kind of see that I'm, calling for coupons. But at the same time, I'm being truthful and giving them really, real good feedback, and I'm consistent. And so they appreciate, it helps them, and they appreciate it. And I appreciate, the coupons. And, if anything, it's good for both people. It's good for both sides. It's just kind of, anyways, that's just something you can do. I know a lot of people don't have the personality for that. They just say, well, I'm not going to call anybody. No. But so it's not for you then. But these are some free things. And just in real quick recap, just look for promotional items, those pens, those cups, those Post-it notes, those Ziploc bags that are branded, those tote bags, free lighters, napkins and condiments, straws, when it's appropriate and legal. You're not going to steal. At the gas station, once again, the heavy duty paper towels. And and don't forget to go to your local library and see what kind of goodies they have at the front desk. I mean, you might be blown away. I've sometimes seen them give out free food. No joke. My local library actually has a potluck, and so you can contribute to the potluck, but they have a lot of the food already there that the library, provides. But yeah, once a month they have a big community potluck. And so you pretty much get most of your meal for free. I mean, you might pitch in a few dollars to get something to contribute, but I mean, you're going to get a full plate of really diverse food for the cheap. And so you have that. But yeah, I mean, I've seen all kinds of things. So, I mean, it's just kind of like keep your eyes open, right? Keep your eyes open and just be aware of that. And sometimes it just depends on who you know. For example, the county clerk in my city, even though it costs typically 10 cents to make photocopies, if you go in there and you're just nice to her, and I'm not trying to get anything for free, I'm just nice anyways, but, you're just nice, and you just say, ma'am, I just need to get, 2 copies of this, or one copy. They typically say, well, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. We'll just do it for free. And so even though it's only supposed to be like 10 cents anyways, it's just those kind of things. And so I think on this list, sometimes you can even add that. I don't bank on that. I always bring, my 10 or 20 cents for the copies, but a lot of times they don't charge me, Now, if there has been times I've gone in there and said, I need 10 copies of this, and then they will charge you for that. Obviously they can't just give you, a bunch of stuff for free, because, then it starts to become a financial problem for them, in the long term. But yeah, I mean, if you're not taking advantage of the situation or anybody, sometimes people are going to be really gracious and kind to you in return. So overall, I think it's really good for us as preppers to kind of challenge ourselves to be more aware of what is going on around us, what's in our environment, and to kind of just have that awareness of what is included as part of our goods and services that we kind of just have gotten used to every day, having around us. And, like one thing I didn't include is, besides those blue heavy duty paper towels at the gas station, a lot of the gas stations have like this tub of it's some type of window cleaner. A lot of times, excuse me, a lot of times the tub of window cleaner is pretty dirty because people are dunking it, and using it all day. But if you get a fresh change out of this window fluid cleaner or whatever, you can take the squeegee that's in the, that tub or bucket, and you can, clean your windshield and all your windows if you wanted to. And that's just included in the price of gas. So there's some things, you can take advantage of. I mean, there are some gas stations, it's rare nowadays, but I have seen them that it's free to put some air in your tires too, just to kind of top off. Once again, that's not everywhere. It's not in my area anymore. They charge for that now, but there still are some places that don't really have a problem. They're just like, yeah, sometimes they'll even help you put the air in the tire for free. So, you just kind of have to kind of just look at, how things are in your area. And, I'd always be really gracious and appreciate, of course, what you have. And sometimes things are always there and you don't think about it. And then the moment a store closes, then you realize, wow, I can't believe that they're not here anymore. And then you realize the things that you can't get there in your city or your area anymore. And then you become a lot more appreciative of what they did for you, what they provided, especially in a small city, or town like I live in. It's just, there's like so few businesses here that any one of them, if they closed like tonight, I mean, wow, it would affect a lot of people. It really would. And so I think sometimes we worry about penny pinching, but in closing here, I just want to say that try to support your local businesses, like for real, because if you don't, they'll go out of business. And just because you can get it for 10 or 20 cents cheaper online, or maybe you save a whole buck or two, right? Online. Yeah, but the money is leaving your local area, and that's not really a good thing at all. You want to try to keep your local economy robust, and one of the best ways to do that is to buy within your town or city. So just keep that in the back of your mind. I sometimes pay a premium in my area for things, but guess what? The stores are still open. People have jobs. Life is good. So you guys take care. Thanks for checking out my video. Smash the like button if you like this type of video. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I want to thank everyone for sharing my videos. Sharing my videos, they really do help a lot. And don't be shy. Leave a comment. I love reading comments. You guys are great. Be safe. Later on.